not what I want to do in my business. I want to write products and help people make money. Amazon just generally doesn't want you to win. It's very easy to run an ad on Amazon, but it's very hard to run an ad profitably. And that's exactly where Stone's Good steps in. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we have a very exciting guest. We have Joe, who owns the Amazing Wave agency and also has the AI for e-commerce sellers newsletter, which I get in my inbox 3 times a week. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Sean. I like how you evaded from the touchy subject of pronouncing my surname. That was very strategic of you.
Oh, yes. It's not my first rodeo.
Yeah. You know where to steer away from.
Yeah. But I mean, I also have a hard name for anyone who isn't a native English speaker. So Sean spelled S-E-A-N is kind of weird.
Sean.
I get it.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, Sean. You can't join our club of like people with complicated names. Your name is pretty straightforward, so you're not accepted.
You know what? It was a half-assed application at best, so that's fair. Yeah. Well, look, we're excited to have you on the podcast today. I mean, it would be crazy for us not to talk about the subject that I think is on everyone's mind, which is AI for e-commerce. I kind of wanted to get started by just maybe like hearing a little bit about your journey with AI and like what got you so excited about AI, because I feel like it's a little bit different for everyone, but you really seem to be on the cutting edge for a lot of this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, it's funny, time went so fast and yet so much happened. So I started my journey in November with AI in November 2022. So obviously when ChatGPT came out, at that point, I was the head of Amazon for an Amazon aggregator. So a lot of workflows, lots of brands. I had a team to manage. And so I just was curious and I was like, okay, let's see what this thing can do. And then I started playing around with it and I was like, okay, wow, this is really interesting. This is kind of scary and exciting. I need to see how we can use it in our processes. And so at that point, obviously, it was, the first version that was publicly available of ChatGPT. And a lot of hallucinations, but still we could start doing things around our processes, like, product listing optimization, etc. And so starting to work with it every day, I kind of figured, okay, well, this really has potential to be just the most crazy thing that is going to happen. And this is obviously right off the bat when it's launched. What will it do in like the future? And so after that, I just started experimenting every day, learning as much as possible about it, because I'm not I'm always very upfront. I'm not a technical person. I don't code. I don't have any technical background. Everything I do and everything I do from a work perspective, I've always done from the very pragmatic point of view of what problem can this solve. And so I kind of go sort of the back way around, which is, okay, this is my problem. How can this thing help me with this problem? And so in 2023 I launched my agency Amazing Wave, and then in August I started the AI for e-commerce newsletter, which the first issue came out at the amazing subscriber number of total of 6, which I think my mom was one of them. And now it's like, yeah, thanks, Mom. And now it's like 60,000, which is like, every time I say it, I'm like, wow, this is so surreal and amazing. But yeah. And so it's been quite a journey. 2.5 years now? No, 3 years? Wait, I'm so confused about timing. Like some years ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a great newsletter. I'm not surprised it's grown so much. Other people I know who are in the industry actually recommended it to me. That's how I kind of ended up. Yeah. People really like it, and I like it. And I said to you before, I like the Friends references.
Yeah.
So that's also really nice. Is there some moment that you kind of hit where with AI where it was like, this is big, this unlocks something? Because I can think of that moment for me, but I'm wondering if you had one of those.
I would love to hear your moment, but yeah, I think just in the beginning, I think right from the start, it was kind of like a gut feeling I just had. That's why I kind of dropped everything. I was like, okay, this is really important. I have to pay attention, because there comes like innovation or technology which is disruptive, but then there is something of like a moment when you think, wow, this is going to change everything we know. And I had this like feeling right at the start that this is really important, and I need to get in there. I need to learn everything I can. And so I think this year there was a moment when I had almost like a queasy feeling in my stomach when the ChatGPT image generator came out. I think at that point I was like, okay, this is now coming into the next level of madness. And yeah. And so I find that like the technology doesn't stop surprising me. It's not always in a good, positive way. It's in like a shit kind of way. But
Yeah.
it's kind of like an ongoing, wow, I didn't think that this is going to be possible, and it is possible. So, yeah.
Wow. My oh shit moment was, I think it was March 2023.
Mm,
I stayed home on a Friday night, and just started messing around with ChatGPT and coding a little bit. And
mm,
I can't code. These fingers have never written a line of code before. Uh, but I was able to direct ChatGPT into writing a little bit of code for me that solved a problem that I had at the time.
mm.
And I was blown away that that was an option that was available to the average person now. So yeah, that was and then my stepfather-in-law called me because I had to go like do a project with him on Saturday. And he was like, "So what are you doing right now?" And I'm like, "I'm coding with AI." And he was like, "I don't think I understood one word in that sentence." Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, I know that feeling. I think that there is still people who are like, what is she talking about? Especially like in my family. Um, Obviously I talk a lot about AI, and so now they're kind of clued up, but in the beginning they're like, what? 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 Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot to really be excited about when it comes to AI, especially it's December when we're recording this will probably go live in 2026. If someone were maybe like proficient with AI, but not a power user, because I think that's a lot of the people who watch this podcast they're not noobs, they're people who get it already, but maybe they don't see the power, maybe the way that maybe someone like you does. What would you say to them? Like, what would you have them experiment with to kind of win them over from proficient to power user?
Right. So this is going to be like the non-sexy answer that you expect. It's nothing to do with tools. It's nothing to do with like, it's not even to do that much with like prompting or like coding. I mean, there is a lot that can be done in that area as well. But actually the kind of the step change that happens from being an okay user to like someone who gets a lot of utility out of these large language models are the users who think about processes and people who really understand before they even get to the AI what a good process looks like and how to break it down into smaller chunks and then translate that into prompts or workflows with AI. And so this is the thing. A lot of people are very excited about, oh, wow, look at this tool. It does this and that. And of course, there is a lot of vertical tools that answer a problem, but actually there is almost too many tools out there in the market. There is too much noise. People get overwhelmed. People buy a lot of things and then they don't use them. And I always try to like keep it simple in order to like really get your bang for your buck and to actually get to the next level of using AI, you really need to understand several things. You need to understand your processes and you need to understand your data. And then you need to understand, if you have a team, the human complexity around the team, like translating these processes into AI and just wanting to use AI. So these are kind of like, I would say, yeah, because there is also like a human psychological problem around that. But these are kind of the three things that I would focus on. And this is where it's not sexy, but it's actually really important, and this is where the really the step change happens.
Yeah. So and to be honest, I love that answer because I think that if you can draw out a problem, you can usually solve the problem. Because
Exactly.
really, any big problem is just a bunch of little problems stacked on each other. So I think that's really a thoughtful answer, and I think anyone listening to this should absolutely go and try that because that's the best outcomes I've gotten with AI have all been from doing exactly that. first drawing out the problem, then putting together the solution. So that is a great answer. What are you, when it comes to AI these days, like, what are you excited about? We're about to go into 2026. What are you looking at like, oh my goodness, this is going to be awesome?
Yeah, it's really interesting. There's someone who reads about AI obsessively every week. At the moment, there's like a kind of like a, I don't know, is basically a the craziest competition of who is going to roll out the best model the fastest. And so it's just like right now, I feel like we are talking in December 2025. By January, when this episode airs, it's probably going to be like a completely different set of models and tools. I
Yeah.
am really excited about what Google rolled out last month. The Gemini 3 is a really, really impressive model. Obviously, with this, the Nano Banana Pro capabilities in terms of image generation are really, really spectacular. So I'm really excited to keep, I guess, experimenting with that because it's so versatile, this model. And there is actually Google is funny. Like, if you had told me 2 years ago that Google is going to have a massive comeback and now be on the top of the like arena charts, I would have not believed it because they were so far behind. And now they have really rolled out what is at the moment the best model out there. And I also really like how Google have created a really broad suite of AI products that are all slightly different, but they kind of bring a lot of really useful features for the consumer and like for the businesses as well. I mean, aside from obviously using the Gemini models, which are fantastic, like I just think about something simple as Notebook LM, which, by the way, if users haven't tested, I really recommend that you just spend half an hour playing around with that tool because it's such a fantastic way to synthesize information, to understand like maybe very large like scattered different types of data. And like this tool essentially synthesizes what can be a YouTube video, a 100-page like research paper, whatever it is, into one place, and then give you different outputs, whether it's in a podcast version, whether it's in the presentation or it's in the video. But either way, like the tool is really brilliant. And it's also like, when you hear about research papers, you think, oh, well, what is she talking about? We're talking about e-commerce here. But like, forget about like just standard research paper. You can take that to be applied to your reviews or to be applied to like anything to do with your categories. So it's a really great tool. They obviously have Google Labs, which is again like a really great creative, like I guess creative lab where you can use all of their different models, experiment. So yeah, I'm really excited about all of the Google products. As usual, I am very, very excited about Claude and anything that Anthropic rolls out because I just have seen that the quality of outputs that you get from Claude and all of its kind of additional little applications is amazing, and is particularly amazing for businesses. Just the way it rations, the way it reasons, and the way it basically creates little applications, etc. I think that's really spectacular. I think next year MCPs or model context protocols are going to be even more important and even more become kind of like center stage for businesses to like connect different applications, data points with AI, and essentially build kind of like automations or agents, however you want to call them. And so, yeah, I think there is a lot, and it keeps coming. Like, it's not even just the main players that are keep rolling out great products. You have Lobo, you have Hicksfield. There is a lot of good smaller players that are really innovating. And yeah, I feel like we're not even like anywhere close to the peak of what's gonna come in 2026. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel the same way. I feel like there's so much coming and we don't even know what's coming yet.
Are you testing anything interesting at the moment?
So the coolest thing I've done with AI is I built a ranking dashboard with no code tools.
Mm-hmm.
So I can basically, I realized that with 90% accuracy, I could predict if a product could rank without spending any additional money. but
Amazing.
it would take me 10 hours and way too many spreadsheets. So at the beginning of 2025, I spent 45 days, all my free time, all my evenings, coding something from like start to finish. And now I can just like with relative accuracy, if I meet with someone and they say like, "Hey, do you think this product can rank? Could we be in the top 5 organically?" I can plug it into my dashboard and tell them like yes or no with 90% certainty.
That's really cool.
And it's just Amazon's APIs, Data Rova exports, and a few other things, all
Mm.
plugged into a centralized Google Cloud database and then pushed out onto Looker. But
I love how you said in the beginning of this chat, like, these fingers haven't coded anything. Show those fingers, because that's clearly like some sorcery. Well done, fingers.
yeah, well, I mean, shout out to my boy AI.
Hey.
I just told it in
Excuse
plain
me.
English what I
Why
wanted.
did you assume that AI is a boy? What is
Oh,
the
and that
interesting
was,
assumption?
you're right. That is sexist of me. My dog, AI. Yeah. So, but yeah, that's something that I've built. What have you built? Have you built anything interesting?
A lot of, well, to be fair, I have a team that builds. Like, I'm more kind of the strategist. I'm not like the most proficient at building applications themselves, but like my team builds all kinds of magical and wonderful things. Like recently we built a kind of a whole meta creative system for brands, which basically based of a hypothesis testing framework, which can be
Hmm.
changed and customized based off like particular ICPs. This essentially system continues generating different types of images to test with Meta. And so, like, I think this is really exciting for brands because there is a lot of potential for volume, which right now the Meta algorithm is all about volume and like creative changes. And so, like, I think this is the kind of executions that I think make a lot of sense. Now, again, I would say like I'm not the biggest fan of like full automations because I just feel that they're not necessarily giving the quality always that is necessary for like every use case, but in certain instances there is like a genuine problem solved with them.
Yeah. I mean, that is a really cool use case, like the idea of having a ton of outputs. I recently spoke at a conference put on by Intuit, and one of the other presenters went up and said, "Why are we using AI to solve problems from the past? Like, why are we using AI to create hundreds of different creative variations? What if instead we built an AI model trained on the brand's information and also trained on all the compliance issues that a brand has? And then what if we just plug the AI model into the ad algorithm and the creative is generated for each user uniquely?" I
Nice.
said, I had not even considered that until I heard this person say that. And I thought to myself, like, wow, imagine that. Imagine how many hours big brands spend on compliance and things like that just to
Yeah.
get one ad out the door
Yeah,
like
but I
that.
think like for something like that, for this ultimate customization, you have to have a lot of money, like a lot of money to spend to make it sense. But like it's so yeah, it's really crazy what actually brands can do nowadays with AI.
Yeah, it's massive. I think there's a ton of potential. And I think, we're going to look back on 2025 and say, like, wow, we were so small. We were just taking our first few steps, you know? Yeah.
It's really scary how fast this is moving.
Yeah. Scary is definitely a word that I've used. What else are you excited about when it comes to AI? I mean, we've talked about a bunch of different things. Like, I'm just excited about building more tools for myself. But like, what are you excited about? Where do you see things going?
Yeah, I would say I'm excited about AI becoming more and more useful for like the smaller businesses. Obviously, there is right now a lot of focus on enterprise solutions. Obviously, that's where the big buck is. So all of the AI models have been focusing on solving these problems. And I've had so many smaller businesses reach out to me and they're like, yeah, okay, AI is great. It can write me some copy, but what else can it do? Like, it doesn't seem to be very useful right now. And I think there is so much use, but it's getting even better. And I see it by all of the little functions and a lot of the little sort of extensions that AI tools introduce. Just to give you an example, like one of the coolest or the smartest tools recently that were introduced by Claude is it's not even like a tool, it's a way of thinking, it's skills. I don't know if you've used it, but it's essentially a way to predefine how Claude executes a particular task, but you train it like as a skill based off the way you like things to be done. So, I mean, although in Claude, it's kind of like an official skill where you can upload a document with these instructions, it's more the concept that you can apply to any large language model, whether it's like Gemini or ChatGPT. But I think this kind of thinking and this kind of operationalizing, that's not a word. I'm not going to say
Yeah, it
that.
is.
Let's try again.
Operationalizing. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Sean. Like you see that there's some words that I can't
Yeah.
pronounce. Yeah, exactly. That. And I think really they're going to make a really big difference for how smaller brands, how smaller companies actually get utility out of AI models. Because at the moment you need to have this kind of like strategic thinking, understanding of large language models, understanding of processes, piecing it all together, and then it works. But the more you just simplify it for the normal user, the more that they will be able to like build their processes and work collaborative as a team. And I think, although again this is not sexy, it is exciting because you actually get much more done that way versus here's like very many flashy tools. Because again, I think there's too many flashy tools and not enough utility out there.
Yeah. I would agree. I'm really excited for, because I think birds of a feather flock together, or however that expression goes, where a lot of people who really understand AI all kind of congregate together. But there's this big section of people in the world who haven't necessarily seen how powerful AI can be for a small business. I'm excited for that transition to happen where people, instead of looking at AI as this like evil thing that's going to ruin the world, look at it and say like, this could make me incredibly productive and it could help me help so many other people. There's so many
Yeah.
things, there's so many applications just in a regular day-to-day business that AI could make faster, easier, cut waste, help you get more things done. Like when I look at that, I'm like, this is so powerful. This is so great.
100%. I mean, this is the thing is like, I one of the things where when I train teams, I always like give as an example is just a simple thing like ChatGPT's voice function can give you so much like back in terms of what you can do, what it helps you do. Like just the simplest thing is when you have like, let's say sometimes I do this when I have a problem that I don't know how to solve, use ChatGPT in the voice version as kind of like a thinking partner. And so I pose the problem, I get it to ask me questions, and I get it to like challenge me so that instead of just giving me an answer, it helps me think through a problem. And obviously, if you have an advisor or a partner or a colleague, you can do that. But if you don't, or if you need someone with a specific expertise, which ChatGPT can take on this role, this is basically a free business advisor. And then the other thing that voice enables is the magical thing, which is you speak out your initial impressions and initial thoughts in a free-flowing form, which actually can unravel a lot of thinking, a lot of insight that normally can get hidden the moment you start typing something intentionally in this way. Another thing that I think is really awesome, again, with using voice, like there's a tool called Whisperflow, which is kind of like a slightly more verticalized version of ChatGPT voice, where you can essentially narrate through voice, like whether it's notes, etc. And then that can in itself use as a tone of voice to create content, to send instructions. It can be used in so many different ways. And so again, it becomes a question of like creativity. AI can enable us to become so much more creative with the way we do work, and AI can like expand the multimodality of what we input into our final output. It can be voice, it can be image, it can be video. Like, I recently checked out this great tool called Agero. And what they do is that they can take like your competitors' videos, analyze all of the content inside of them, analyze their hooks, analyze the type of let's say influencers that they use, like the gender, like the shape of their faces, like the way the light is in the video, like how do they position the product, the color schemes, anything, and then give you sort of insight as to like what works best, and like based off how many like engagements or comments, and like give you a synthesized version of what is driving the performance of a particular video. And so again, yeah, I think the exciting bits are how like business users can take so many different non-structured data inputs and put them into a workflow, and then get something of an insight, and then put that into the next part of their process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that's unbelievable. I didn't realize that tools like that existed. And I thought for a long time that that was going to be something that humans still had to do for quite some time, because it's just so much work to do that. But I mean, yeah, that's unbelievable. Like the level of creative strategy that would unlock for someone is massive. So very cool. Yeah. I mean, honestly, at this point now, I'm just hyped up to go use that. Like, I'm excited to go play with it. I didn't even think about that before we started talking. That is amazing.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, you can, what's really cool is that now even Google Gemini actually is able to take a video and then analyze it. So you can literally download your videos or your competitors' videos or whatever content, and then like essentially get it to give you patterns. And so there is like many different options. It's not just like one vertical tool, but like the verticalized tools are very well pre-prompted, but you can test this also with something that is widely available like Gemini.
wow, I didn't even realize that.
Now you have homework,
There
Sean.
goes there goes my afternoon.
There you go.
Wow, I'm so glad that we were able to get you on here. That's unbelievable.
Nice. I'm glad.
Yeah, surprised to say the least. Well, look, as we wrap up here, where can people find you on the internet? Where can they? We already kind of teased it, but
Sure.
plug yourself, please.
All right, let me plug myself. So firstly, you can type in, to be fair, you can type in my long ass surname and I will pop up. There is no many Joe or Joanna's Lamborghinis out there. It's just me. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. I post a lot of very educational content there. I share a lot of SOPs. Yeah, I generally think that the resources that I provide there are really good. You can also read my newsletter, which I am very passionate about. I love my newsletter. I put a lot of effort and a lot of time in it. You can type in, hold on, it's the AI for e-commerce newsletter.com. It's very catchy, but I will send you the links and you can link them up, or you can send me an email on joe@amazingwave.digital. So that is it.
Yeah, lots of places to find you. Lots of
Yes.
great stuff. Yeah. Thanks for being so generous with your time and so generous with your answers. I think a lot of people will really enjoy this. This is super cool.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you for having
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, of course. And for everyone else, until next time.